Hi all, welcome to my channel, welcome to my worlds, the world of Wayne, and welcome to the Thursday night live stream. Although this is sort of like a postscript to the live stream we've done, because what I've done is I've had to edit just the beginning of the video, because in true world of Wayne fashion, I make mistakes so you don't have to. I made an error with the sound on my system. I did fix it about 5 minutes into the stream, so we got everything perfect. And what I was talking about at the start when you see this is I was asking Phil from the Sprueverse channel about the Doctor Who TARDIS that he had in the background. But fear not, I do ask him that question later on in the stream because I knew the sound was playing up. And what we're going to do is start the stream with just the presentations of our ET ships. Test, 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 test. Okay, I got my microphone on. I'm going to bring Phil back and see if this makes a difference. Hello.
Hello.
How's that, peeps? Is that better? It sounds better, I think.
Okay, well, my executive producer wife came in and gave me headphones. She said the reason why you got feedback is because you don't have headphones.
There we go. Look, everyone's saying, well, we'll see. They like the builds, Phil.
Oh, yeah? They're great, right? And what I think is so cool about this entire universe is you get to do things the way you want it, the way you choose to paint it. Now, there's a lot of talented people out there who build things they call canon, so it's exactly the way it appeared on screen, and I love that, and I'm envious of a lot of guys who can do that. But from an artist perspective, I think just to interpret something and have something that you built yourself but you enjoy is awesome.
Okay, so with your Yay Monsters, this is the bits that I'm getting interested in. What were your challenges on the build?
Okay, well, the very first challenge I had was there were no instructions that came with my kit either, and so Chuck at Yay Monsters was kind enough to put together some diagrams and some things for me. But you know, in typical fashion, a lot of these resin garage kits, they don't come with instructions, and so you sort of have to figure it out And the challenge with that, of course, is when you're dealing with resin, you can take it off, but you can't put it back. And it's very, very, very difficult to work under those constraints. So if you cut something wrong, it's a mess. You can fix it, but it's a mess. So I had challenges with the armatures on the lamp/engine housings. Getting those exactly right was a real challenge, and how they were constructed was a real challenge. So I had to figure that out. I also had, as you know, some problems with the lighting inside. The way my ship was constructed, I couldn't access the fan blades. They were all covered up. So there was no way for me to actually get in there, and I didn't know what to do about that. And so here's a shameless plug for Randy Nuebert over at Voodoo Effects Lighting. Good friend, and he came up with this incredible idea. There's a LED strip on the market, I didn't know about it, called RGB LEDs. And so each individual LED in the strip can be programmed. And so he basically got an Arduino, and he figured out how to clockwise and anti-clockwise on a board that he put together for me and shipped it down to me. I was going crazy trying to figure out how to light it.
Well, I had my own problems, which were going crazy. The uncanny thing was we tended to build our ships exactly the same time, doing exactly the same things. So much so that when we finished the ships, I started working on the Victory, and then you started working on the Victory. And it's small things like that, like where you put your ET on the ramp and the direction your ET's facing is exactly the same as where my ET's facing on the ramp. So it's all crazy. But because I built it up from the bottom, I think I mentioned to you before, the problems I had with my wires is my LEDs had really thick wires on. And I know that you and Lou Delmaso, Lou's in chat by the way tonight, have quite, he's in chat. He's you got a lot thinner wires, so I had to try and hide all those wires, and when I did that and I'm pushing things down, it was making some of these things not work, especially the nano LEDs, because the nanos have really thin wires, and I'm trying to solder them to big thick wires. And I did have one problem with it's working now, thank God, but let me just go onto my big camera here. My red light here didn't work up to about a week ago, and I managed to fix it, thank God. But I've been having sort of problems with that with the lights until I started piecing it all together. Now, on your advice, I didn't seal the whole thing up, and I know you didn't either, did you? You left the dome off?
No, I didn't, because the guts of the entire thing are in that dome, and it sits quite nicely now. I had to do a little sanding to get it to sit. But I'm okay with the gap, because I want to be able to keep it going. That was one of the other challenges, by the way, is the lighting effect actually runs on 5 volts, but I'm used to 9 volts. And so I had 2 different systems, and that was something else that we came up with was this, well, I can't take credit for it. I have to give all the credit to Randy Nuebert. But this step down, which takes up to 12 volts in, it gives you 9 volts and 5 volts. And I have to tell you, one of the things that I've been learning about the world of electrics is amperage. You can have as many volts as you want, but if you don't have the right amperage, you're never going to be happy.
I said that step down thing was a game changer for me too, because when I got to this stage, all of the engine lights weren't bright, so they weren't. I mean, they couldn't even light up down below here. I wanted to power this, but the LEDs I was using and believe me, I tried everything to try and get them bright, just wasn't working. And I knew I'd have to use like an LED strip like you used for that. So I managed to get 12 volts going to the top half of the ship, and all the bottom half of the ship is running off 5 volts with that step down. So
one of the things that I've learned, guys, and this might be helpful to everybody, is that I didn't realize, even with transformers, that on the back of the transformer it'll say 9 volts with 2 amps or 1, or whatever it is. Oftentimes there's a fluctuation in the current. They don't stay. It doesn't stay pure, and that's a real problem, especially when you're adding LED strips, 3mm, nano chips, and LEDs of different sizes. I realized that if you get any kind of fluctuation at all in your amperage, it'll burn out on you, or you'll get this flicker or whatever. But these step downs, if you use a step down in all of your kits, regardless of whether you've got different different amperages and different voltages you're using, if you just use it to run everything through a period, you get that perfect it gives you constant voltage, and it's pure. We ran them for hours and hours. I think Randy ran his for 3 or 4. I ran mine overnight, and put a camera on it just to see nothing. So that is a key to protecting your kit. You spend all this time and money and energy lighting these things. You'd like to keep them alive for a few years.
Well, that's why now I've linked this to the Amazon Dot, so I can turn it on and off. But I can also keep it on all day, knowing that I'm nowhere near the amperage that I need to be to blow things off and stuff like that.
Now, can you talk about what you did with your chroming your dome? Because
Chroming my dome.
I couldn't get my chrome to look as beautiful. Anyway, I'm accepting the sheen on mine, but I would have liked my dome to have been a little chromier.
Well, what I did was I didn't use a grey primer underneath. I've got a Vallejo gloss primer. And I used, which was black, by the way, which put it over, but it is nowhere near the black you need. So then I got the most metallic, darkest car paint that I could possibly find, and it had 3 coats of that. So basically, it was like a mirror before I even got to do the chrome coat. Then I used the Alcad 2, and I think it's only got 2 coats of Alcad 2, not a lot at all, but it's enough to give it the sheen, but also keep the reflected of the black. And the good thing about the Alclad, which I don't, Lou, you're in chat. I know you used the Molotov stuff. Did you continue using that, or did you change brand after that? Because this stuff.
No, he changed brands. I watched that build. Oh yes.
Because this stuff dried quite quickly that you could touch it and you wouldn't have fingerprints on it. Now when I did the C3PO, I used Montana Gold Chrome. For about a week afterwards, I was still having fingerprints on it. It just took forever to dry. But I never had the problem with that. But I've chromed before. What did I chrome? I'm trying to think. I chromed something, but what was it? Oh, it was C3PO's leg. The leg was silver chrome, so I figured out how to perfect it then. And I didn't even know about having the gloss black undercoat. But it's that mirror effect underneath, which is what makes it stand out. Which is why. God, what's the guy's name? Christoph, isn't it? Chaucer 44. Yes, yeah, that's why he used mirrors for the Ark of the Covenant, because it's the same technique. You're getting the light reflecting straight through it, and all he's doing is putting the gold spray over the top. So, but that, I mean, it hid a lot of imperfections, because the problems I had with this is that the dome is really thick, where they've molded it, but then to reinforce it they've just put like loads and loads of resin inside, which made it all bumpy. So you had some areas which might have been about 0.5 centimetre and some centimetres which were about 2 centimetres. Now to get these holes here perfect, I would have had to sand the whole of the inside out, and as you said earlier, working with resin, it turns to like icing sugar. It's the most weirdest material once it's ground down I've ever seen. And I had to grind, as Lou and you know, I had to grind the whole aerial down to be able to fit lights in here and at the top section here.
And I publicly apologize to you for that. I knew that was going to be the case. Yeah, with the Yay Monsters kit, and you know, if you're not into the grinding and you don't feel comfortable with it, the Yay Monsters kit is all ready to go. And if you pay an extra $40, he'll even sand it for you.
But with the Yay Monsters one, what I really liked, and I think Lou again picked this up in his thing, is the lines on the top are very defined, but on this they're not. Which is why I didn't do. I really wanted to do the different paneling like you did, and I know Lou did it on his Gold Number. I didn't do that on this one, so it's all one colour, that is. But that's the reason.
Yeah, well, I didn't really know what to do, because I shot a whole little segment actually on chroming my dome, and I was petrified to start it. You know, it's like I didn't want to do this. It's like, but I finally did, and the Spats kit, I call it a kit because it, you know, there's all these steps you do, and I have to say it was so impressive because it dried so fast and it looked beautiful. And then I went and did what they told you to do, which is put their protective gloss coat on, and it killed the whole thing. It just killed the whole thing.
I didn't do that. I haven't put a protective coat on. So
well,
hopefully, yeah.
Lou told me after the fact. He says, "Yeah, don't do that." I go, "Yeah, no, I did."
Well, yeah. With the putting the dome down as well, I did have gaps around the middle there because it didn't fit flush. And short of sanding it, I bought this stuff, which is oh god, this is 2mm foam. That's just clever. Like that. Created a ring of it. And then it just used it like a gasket, and that's what's basically sitting on top now. Now that won't move. The only reason I'd ever have to go in there is if one of the lights have gone or something like that. But as you saw when I put it together, because it's modular, I know exactly where to go to actually unplug something if it's not working. So, but I think the hardest thing I had with it was that you made look really easy was those MIG ferns. That was a nightmare.
Oh. Oh, you mean your trees, or
the little MIG ferns that you had to break off the little.
Okay. Yeah. So let me tell you, they are a nightmare. But there's a guy I can't remember his name, but anyway, if you put on your micro glasses, because I'm blind as a bat without my glasses, and you get a very, very sharp, not a number 11 X-Acto blade, but it's actually it's a surgical blade. A lot of guys are using these now. They're very available online. They're actually scalpels for surgery, and that you can also get blades for them, and they are like deathly sharp. And I found that it cuts that MIG paper. They're laser cut on paper so much better than the X-Acto blade that will not cut them, and scissors will ruin them. Because I don't, unless you get some micro shears or something like that. But if you get yourself, and they're not expensive, you can find them online. It's a surgical grade scalpel, and get blades for it. A lot of hobby guys are using this, so it's nothing secret. You get a different cut.
Wow. Well, I think the thing when I got them, I thought I was getting hundreds of them, but there's like two with some extra.
No, you get three. I mean, they're not.
Yeah. So I had to like make do with what I had.
Yeah,
but thank God for me. But thank God for me, there's one of the viewers in chat, Helder. I don't know. He's probably in chat tonight. He sent me, God knows how much static grass, bushes, shrubberies, lichen. Is that right? I can't pronounce that word. But the fir trees at the back only took 2 weeks to dry, and then I glycerine them. Now the problem with that, it works good, but they've gone a little bit dull. So I think I might need to put some colour on top of that. But they're hard as rock now, which is and using sculptor mold, that was a first for me. I've never done that before. I didn't realise when I was watching the videos and the tutorials, they're saying you've got about a 15 to 20 minute work time. You've got about 10 if you're lucky. That was a nightmare. And then the other thing was, once it was all finished, I forgot that I had to paint around the back of all the pictures you don't see. So I ended up doing that last. But it was a pleasure because I learned so many new things on doing this, which I think was part of the point of doing a garage kit that I've never ever done before. But I don't know
garage kits are fantastic, but you have to have the patience of a saint, and you have to really you sort of have to send Zen love to these builders who make them for you, because even the most talented ones they're artists, but they're not manufacturers, and they're not people oriented, so they don't have customer service. So you've got to really handle them with kid gloves and respect what they do and try to figure it out. And if you can make the challenge part of it instead of it being a frustration. When I started, it was a frustration, and then I threw out that notion and I made it a part of the sort of the art of discovering how to put these things together. The reason why I like the garage kits is because, first of all, you get some incredible stuff out there that you can't get in the manufacturing world. They either, I don't know whether it's licensing issues or scale issues. And the other thing is detail. You get amazing detail with resin that you just don't get with plastic, in my opinion.
No, no, definitely. I said the detail that it comes with what you do as well, because it's not. They just give you like the blueprint, if you like, and you can build on top of that whatever you like.
That's right.
And
That's
with all
right.
the lights that we've put in the legs and God knows what else. I mean, I've got real rocks in here, so it's like, you know, I've been using all sorts of things that I found. But Luke Towan is the one that I was watching basically to mimic that, because I'd never done it before. I don't know if you've ever watched Luke, but
no, I'm going to check him out.
He does real life dioramas, and it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, there's another guy. I don't know if your viewers know Plasmo, PLASMO. He's a young gentleman from the Czech Republic. He is ridiculous. He is so talented, and he just makes it all look so easy. But he does do it step by step, so you are able to sort of figure these things out for yourself. But for me, you know, I'm sure it's like with you, it's trial and error. You know, you learn as you go, and the more mistakes you make, the better you get. Yeah. And one of the dirty secrets, and I do share this with my subscribers, is I tend to go out and buy three kits. You know, so if I'm building something, I'll buy 3 of them, because inevitably I'm going to screw it up, break something will be warped, I've got a part that's missing. I just buy 3 of everything. That's why I've got stock in AZTEK dummy, because when I buy Lou's masks, I buy 4 or 5 of them, and I'm sure he appreciates it. But I use them for other things as well, you know, because no one makes masks like him, and you can try at home with a Cricut and all this stuff, but it's just I stay with the professionals, because his product is amazing, and I don't get paid to say that.
Well, saying that, I've got to buy Mrs. World Away a Cricut. Apparently, it's another doll's house thing. But
I don't know. Maybe you want me to send you mine, although it's got U.S. current. I don't know what to do with it. I can't figure it out.
Well, I've got some dirty secrets with this one, you see, because some things went wrong for me that I had to cover up. Basically, I had to make my own supports for the ramp, and if you remember, I used the hinges. The hinges didn't work out in the end, so basically that's all resin together. But I went a little bit too happy with the resin, and it went over the top of the nano LEDs here, which has created a really good like effect. It's actually sort of like diffused it, which, you know, now I didn't know it worked. It works now. And the big thing, which is something I should have watched from Lou, which I don't know if you've noticed, that Lou's legs go in, mine go sort of that way, and I think yours are, I don't know, are yours straight or?
Well, the actual leg it stands on goes straight up. It's just a square piece of resin. That was one of the things actually Luke cautioned me on. He said, because there's a lot of weight on these legs, and the way that the Golden Armor kit is designed, it doesn't have the structural integrity that Yay Monsters has. So I don't think Lou realized, and it was great advice from him, but I think of legs slightly better engineered, though the legs on your kit are actually slightly more accurate.
Well, the problem I had with that is where I got the legs where I wanted them to be, the back braces didn't reach the ship. So I had to 3D print some blocks to go in between the back ones to the ship, just to give it that integrity. And the reason that it's in the when I did the sculptor mold that I buried the legs deep is because I don't want it to move around, because if it does and the blocks will work themselves loose, then I think the integrity of that will diminish.
Did he not tell you to put a brass rod down the center of the feet?
No, I did see his channel, and I was thinking about it. As a matter of fact, I bought a brass rod to cut pins for all of the legs and stuff, but then I realised you don't need them on this build. So
no,
I should have used it, but like you, I kept buying things thinking it would be a fix and never using them, thinking I found another way to do it. So I've got a whole drawer of stuff now.
I could do a whole show on lighting effects and flickering. I mean, I went crazy on these things, and it's so embarrassing that sometimes it's the simplest things that are the most beautiful. And one of the things that I just love about this hobby as well is we can take things from daily life, and you don't even know what they are, but scale them down or put them proportionally in our world, and they look amazing. And I think that, to me, is the simplest way to fix things.
We're not having the best weather in the UK, and you should have saw me outside gathering mud. Then I got the mud, put it in the oven for an hour to dry it. Then I sieved it. Then I got a smaller sieve, so I had, like, you can buy this from Woodland Scenics, but it's exactly the same stuff. So I had a powder, a gravel, and a large gravel, all from just mud in the garden. And then you've got to seal it. But some of these techniques, I said, even underneath the pine trees, just some of the broken needles, I took from outside and I blended them.
Now, how did you get along with the static grass machine? I've never used one. I was afraid to get it.
Well, apart from almost blowing myself up, because I don't know if you saw my stream last week, but there's a button on the side that does nothing. So it's on all the time. So, of course, when I opened it, I went like this to open it. My finger touched that. And God, I tell you, it didn't just shake my top of my body; my legs were shaking. So I went down.
You got a serious shock.
Yeah, I went down to see Esther, and I says, "I'm still shaking. This is, I mean, it just runs on like 2 AA batteries, but it doesn't half kick, I tell you." So now when I take it off, I'm like this, and I'll keep the batteries out until I actually use it. But it wasn't too bad. I'm not convinced this does anything. It's supposed to ground it, but I was getting the same effect. Because probably how blooming much electricity is going through this, by just going really close to it, and rather than shaking it, I was going like this with it, so it was making the needles pop down anyway to stay up like that. I used actually one of those brass rods in there to hold it down, but I'm not convinced that does anything personally.
That's scary. That looked just frightened. I'm frightened just looking at it.
Someone in chat's probably going to tell me that it does. Yeah, it's like a bug zapper. It's exactly like a bug zapper, but touching it's absolute nightmare. But no, I love this build. So what about anything else? Have you got your eye on anything else at the moment?
Yeah, well, I did actually. Lou inspired me. There's a company in the UK called Cosmic, I think, COZMIC, and they've put out a great little 3D ship. That I picked up, but I also have a Randy Cooper kit called the Phoenix, which it's not out of any film. I think it's out of his imagination, if I'm correct. But I'm sure I stand corrected if I'm wrong. But it's a really fun looking thing. But I've got my HMS Victory back on the bench, and I'm trying to finish that Titanic, although it's a slog. And I've also finishing my EVA pod, and then after that, I'm probably going to go back to some starships. I wouldn't mind building the 1350 Enterprise. I haven't done it yet.
Well, we got the Enterprise coming, which is a build like
I've ordered that. Yeah,
you've got that coming.
Yeah,
that's going to be a great build.
That's plug and play like the other, like our other.
Pretty
things,
much,
right?
yeah. But the modding community is going to get their teeth into it big time. So God knows what it's going to be ended up with when it's.
And
finished,
what's the scale of it?
I don't know. Anyone in chat can say that. We've got a question in chat. If someone knows you're a Chargers fan, Phil. So
I know. I saw that. Yeah.
Do you think the Chargers needed a free trade in the draft?
Yeah, too many things we need in the free trade. I don't know.
Oh bless. The one other thing. I'm going to go back to the start of the stream. That Doctor Who box behind you. Yeah. Could you tell us about it again? Because I couldn't hear you.
Yes, of course. So this box is it's the 3-foot model that was. Let me see if I can get a little more light on it. Let's see. Hang on.
Okay.
See if that's better. A little better. So it's the 3-foot model from my movie. I brought Doctor Who back in '96 with Paul McGann, and this is the box that actually is in the main title sequence. In those days, it was cheaper to build models still than it was to use CG effects, and so this was crafted in 4 weeks by a very talented young guy in Vancouver, British Columbia. And all the detail work on it is just extraordinary. The glass is real glass in all of the windows with lead. They're all leaded in. The handle and lock are all handmade and look extraordinary. As the light on top of the box is all handmade as well, except for the glass interior, which is actually, believe it or not, it's a little beer stein mug from a keychain that he happened to just have on him. He couldn't find a lens for it, and then he realized that this little beer stein keychain he had was perfect. So he took it off the keychain. He removed, he cleaned it up with some wash, and that's what sits in the top of the light.
So what got you into the modeling then? Oops, let's go back to you there. What's going on?
Well,
they could have called on you to be building these, Phil.
I know. Well, I'd rather watch you do them. You're better off. You're far more talented than I am. I need to stay behind the camera, really. But ever since I was a young boy, I've loved fantasy, and I grew up on Jules Verne, and I was a huge fan of Irwin Allen growing up, and loved all of his television shows. And I just love this tactile notion of having things that are actual visual interpretations of the things we see in films. It just really excites my head. I don't know. I've fallen in love with it. So I love working with my hands. So the idea of being able to put these things together and just create sort of these wonderful replicas and pieces of my imagination and the things that I love from pop culture is just absolutely, a dream. And being able to work in the television and film business for 35 years, and being blessed with working with some incredibly talented people, you get to go behind the scenes and really hang out with the production designers and watch sets being built. And the craft of filmmaking, the art of illusion, is also something that I just absolutely love. So the whole combination of it just got me excited. But I have to say, when I found your channel, and I'm not just saying this to say it, what I really, for the first time, I actually really felt that there was somebody out there who I could hang out with for an hour, who understood me. And so, from a producer's hat, I have to say, you were terrific. And you remember I reached out to you, and the first time we had lunch together, or was it dinner? I can't remember. I think it was dinner.
Dinner, yeah.
It was great. It was just really great to get your insight into these things and how you present them, because a big part of it is I think there's a lot of people out there who want to get into these hobbies and want to sort of build things. They're not sure they have the time. They don't sure they can. They don't really know how. And you can, and you should. And it doesn't matter how long it takes. It's just dive in and go for it and have some fun. So
no, definitely. But you broke up a little bit there. You'll come back to us in a second, I'm sure.
Okay.
Paused. I can hear you though. I can hear you fine.
And, good.
And the question I'm always asked on this channel is: do you remember what one of your first builds was, or one of your most memorable builds was?
I do. Actually, what happened was I was given many years ago a flying fortress, Airfix flying fortress, and I don't do planes. I didn't really know what to do with it. And so I had this notion that what I would do is kit bash it and turn it into a spaceship. And it was some of the best fun I ever had. I literally came up with it, I thought of, on my own. Little did I know that, that's how the Millennium Falcon was built. It was kit bashed. I mean, who knew, right? But it was a flying fortress. And but it was the fact that I turned it into a spaceship that really stuck with me. But in later years, I built a 1/350 scale Titanic from Minicraft with the planking and all that. I mean, I was really I was in love with this model. It was probably some of my best work. And tragically, like the Titanic, it went down in the '94 earthquake here in the U.S. So 3 years of work and ended up in a rubble on the ground. And I have to tell you, emotionally, it was hard for me to get back into it after that for quite a while. It really stuck with me.
I'd be gutted if that happened to me. I was almost at that stage with the DeLorean. I was going to take a hammer to it because it was just going wrong. Every week something else was going wrong, and I was demoralised. I was absolutely demoralised. I was grumpy as hell and everything. But my first build, I still remember, as I said, was the 747 with I think it was the Enterprise on top.
All right.
And someone did link it me to Amazon to actually build it again. Now, since that build, I don't think I've ever done a Revel or an Airfix kit since then. So, but it's probably something I'll probably want to try again because I haven't done that in age. That was my thing just jumping out of me, my electric zapper. So I'm scared of that as well now.
So there's some really talented model makers out there who really get into the engineering and the nuances of stuff. I don't know if anybody's ever watched Nigel's modeling bench. He's in the UK. Now, he worked for Rolls-Royce as an engineer for many, many years. He's retired now and he builds models. Go see what he's doing, because he's just, I mean, if you really want to get into rivet counting and the nuances of these things, he's incredible. But getting back to the Enterprise, there was a guy called on YouTube called Duty Cat, Dutycat, Duty Cat, I think his name was. He built an Enterprise, and boy, did he do an amazing job with it. And it really actually, when I say Enterprise, I mean the space shuttle, not the spaceship. And it actually kind of got me thinking about trying to do something like that. And, you know, he went as far as actually putting, I think it's athletic tape or some kind of tape. He cut up and made it look like the panels. Wow. The heat panels on the outside, but the detail is incredible, and it's so clever to think like that. It really gets your juices going, but you got to have a lot of patience and take your time.
Well, I said, well, I had another bit of bad news today, as I mentioned to you before the stream, that I found out today from Model Space. I did tease people at the start that I've been building the Victory, and as I mentioned, I'm building the Victory just as Phil's gone back to making the Victory as well. Well, Model Space have informed me today that they don't think they're going to be able to get it anymore for me. They haven't replaced my Pack 4 that I'm missing from June, and I've got 2 Pack 6s, and I haven't been able to get any more since June. And if you've noticed, the Victory's now been taken out the store completely. You can still link to it, but it just says out of stock. And they offered me a change to another ship to do. So I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if anyone's doing the Victory like me or anything, if they've seen anything, but that's what I was told today. But I said I'll get back to them because I'm so far into it now. It's gutting.
Yeah, no, it is. I bought that as a full kit about a year ago. And that was one of the things that, it was sort of lesson learned, right? You must go through every box. You must inventory every part and know what you have immediately so that you can get back to them and tell them if there's a problem. Don't leave it in its boxes and go, great, my kit's here. I might do it next year. Dive in right away and inventory these things because bless their hearts, the QC is not a word that's in their they don't know the word QC.
So leading on from that, what do you think of the X-Wing build?
Well, first of all, let me say this. I was really excited to build the X-Wing after the Millennium Falcon. I built 2 Millennium Falcons, and one for my stepson and one for myself. And I had a blast, just an absolute blast. And they were really a delight to do. And I even did some additional things to my second one on aftermarket stuff. And I had a blast doing it. And I thought the same quality with my R2-D2. I had a few problems with the electrics, but I really enjoyed the build. And it was really fun. I don't know why, and maybe it's my perception, and people can correct me if I'm wrong. I think the quality of the X-Wing in terms of how it's been built is not the same. The way the pre-painted parts are not very good, in my opinion. It does need a paint job, but the fit has been a real problem for me. Things are just not fitting together nicely. And then there was a real electrics problem, because when you get to stage 70, it tells you to fire the whole thing up, and you can't. You have to wait till stage 74 when they give you this adapter. And miraculously, when you plug the adapter in, the whole thing fires up. However, there is a design flaw in the X-Wing mechanics. And so when all the cogs that you have to put in, you have to put a ridiculous amount of cogs. Why they built it this way, I don't know, to raise and lower the wings. Well, apparently there's a sensor that's supposed to tell the wings to stop, raise. Well, it'll open them, but when you go to shut it back down, it doesn't know when to stop, and it keeps grinding and grinding and grinding. And if you don't unplug it right away, you're going to break it. And so that was incredibly frustrating. Now, I've got the last pack. I haven't finished it. It doesn't come with a stand. You have to put it on its feet. And when you look at it very closely, it's tatty. So I hope I'm not getting myself into trouble here. I don't mean to be trashing anybody, but I had a really frustrating time with it. And if anybody wants to stop by my house in a few weeks, you might find it by the trash can outside. You're welcome to it. Please help yourself.
Well, mine's left the shelf, as you can see. It's actually underneath. I put your link up there, Phil, but it's behind that link on the floor. And obviously, we're still at the stage where we're working on the the wings still, and that's the monotonous part of it. And that's when you see people have mentioned the Star Destroyer, there's a trial for that, there's a trial for the AZTEK, which came out last year. I think it would be the same sort of thing. You're going to have to still build 4 legs, which is 4 monotonous things are the same. And right. Even though the Millennium Falcon, you're theoretically doing 2 different sides, the top half and the bottom, they are different. But with an AZTEK and a Star Destroyer, it's symmetrical pretty much each side. So
with the X-Wing too, you know, they've got you when you talk about those symmetrical builds, you're building 4 of the same thing, and you're putting all this detail and all this time into pieces that you just don't see. You can't see them because there's no way to see them. So why they didn't create like a magnetic piece that can pull away so that you could see all of your detail work, I don't know. It was crazy.
No, it certainly is. I'm going to go back to the ET build because there's something I forgot to mention. Your trees, your sequoia trees, is that what they are?
Yes.
That was amazing. Absolutely amazing. When the video was showing, I don't know if you saw the chat, people were looking at the trees saying how amazing they are. And that was just made with plumbing pipe in here.
Yeah, it's plastic plumbing pipe. It's 1/2-inch pipe. And then it's epoxy sculpt. So I don't know what it's branded under in the UK.
We do have an epoxy sculpt sort of branded. Well, it's sort of like a generic brand here that is the same sort of thing, where we have to put a hardener in with this and mix it together.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And then it works with water. You know, you can. It's amazing stuff for all kinds of things. For for light blocking or for adding. Anyway, there's lots of fun you can do with it. You can make things with it as well. But what I realized, the epoxy sculpt would very quickly, and I could do what I wanted to with it. So I made pieces of epoxy sculpt. I wrapped the whole thing in it, and then I took a little clay tool made out of with little fork holes, prongs on it, and just dragged it down, let that dry, and then I just put a paint job on it. And then the arms of the trees are just out of two types of soft copper wire. I think it's in the tutorial. I actually show that on the build.
Yeah.
And then the tufts, which are supposed to be pine needles, are just obviously from the various different train scenic manufacturers. You can get that stuff anywhere. But it was fun to go research this stuff and say, well, what does this tree actually look like, and build it the way it actually looked. And then, it was interesting too. A couple of weeks ago, we watched the movie E.T. and really took a hard look at how that was filmed, and how they shot the miniature and all of that. And I don't know if anybody notices it, but the live location trees are not even close to the miniature tree. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, a lot of discrepancy. But when I first saw the branches of it, I said straight away Endor. I was like, that looks like Endor. But then trying to figure out, because that's another challenge that I had with this build, was trying to figure out the size of the scale for the diorama when you don't really know the scale of the ship, because it's not really given, is it? So it's
it's a real challenge. But I mean, like with anything else, you know. I found that when you create sort of the illusion of foreground, and you can sit your model back, if you're going to do dioramas, I found that if you can sit it back and put foreground in front of it, yes, it covers up a little bit of the model, but the illusion of it being in its space comes more alive, I think. It's a whole skill, by the way, building terrains. There's a guy, he's from England, by the way. His name, I think he's called the Terrain Tutor. He has a channel, ex-military guy, amazing terrains. I think he does them mostly for wargaming, but he's been on the chat for years. If you want to know anything about how to build anything in terrain, that's your guy. And boy, does he make it look easy. But you're quite right. Scale is everything. If something looks like it's out of scale, it doesn't work.
Well, when you watch my videos, you'll see that right underneath the video, I've got a link of featured channels. I know you're on there, Lou's on there. Well, I have linked Luke Towan on there. You start watching his videos and you'll be hooked all day just thinking of how simple some of the things are. But that's what got me into, because I've never done a diorama before. So that's why it was more like I had the YouTube video on while I was doing it. So and the funny thing is, the techniques that I used in that video, you'll see he did the same one. I think he called it how to make a realistic riverbank or something like that.
Right.
So, but that's definitely a thing for you. But I have to say thank you for the opportunity to build this, because this was absolutely amazing. I've learned so much from doing these garage kits. It has whet my appetite to do it again. So
no, I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled you took up the challenge. It was a challenge getting you the kit, by the way.
Yeah, tell me about it.
I saw it was sitting in a warehouse 45 minutes from your house for like a week, and I was like really scared that you weren't going to be able to get this kit. I mean, tragically, this COVID nightmare has caused such a nightmare for everybody in terms of shipping, and they're charging now tremendous tariffs and customs charges. Even I saw the other guy, there was a gentleman tried to get a kit out of Germany, and they wanted to charge him £120 in customs charges for the kit.
It's partly the reason why we're getting late. We haven't had any Eleanor we're supposed to get. I think the Enterprise is delayed by a week at the moment, although they said they're packing it out there. Everything is delayed here for that reason.
By the way, I don't know if any of you guys want to do this. I may consider doing it, but when I was speaking to my dear friends at De Agostini the other day, because, you know, I'm trying to get going on my Spitfire again, and, you know, anyway, but because what I heard was that they will actually send you 6 months worth of Enterprise. That's what they have in stock, apparently ready to ship. And if you want to pay, if you can afford to do it, I would do it. I would get it as quickly as possible. You know, be one of the first people to get as much of the ship as you possibly can, because if anything is like the past with these builds, at a certain point they reach that threshold of no return. They can't seem to handle the demand.
Yeah, we've got like 3, 6, and 9 month options here, but I did notice that with the Ecto 1 that we're building now, that as I said, we only had a delivery last week, and I think I've got another one due like tomorrow, and I think that they were ready to go, but because of all of this customs and shipping and stuff like that, it's just not been happening, and that's why we're so far behind. But if they didn't have that, they still would have had a distribution curve for it to go. But I don't think the logistics problem is just between like Europe and us. It is between China, because they all come they all come from the same place in China.
Right. No, that's exactly right. And in fact, you know, with the Victory, I don't know if you knew this, but they ran out of balsa wood. And so they started manufacturing with birch, and it's a different type of wood. It's not the same. And so, interestingly enough, I'm at a part in the build where they replaced balsa wood with birch, and they tell you to cut these lines in it, splines in it to mold it around the frame. You can't do it with birch; it just snaps. So I went out and got some balsa wood. I found something relatively close, milled it down for myself, and it works like a charm. So I just think I don't know whether they didn't understand the demand, or whoever's in charge of figuring out how many complete kits will be available when. I think that same person actually is in charge of getting vaccine out to all of us around the world. I'm pretty sure of it.
Oh, God help us all. Well, that's us then, Phil. That's the end of the stream. Awesome. But listen, thank you so much for joining us tonight. If anyone hasn't seen Phil's channel, then I've put the link up there, youtube.com/Sprueverse. You can also just type Sprueverse into the search engine on YouTube and it'll take you to his channel. And he has also got a website, which is www.sprueverse.com, which I'll put up on the screen there as well. And that's not just a link to the YouTube channel, but it's all the resources that you need as a model builder of different things and where you can get them and all sorts of advice, and absolutely great site. But thank you, Phil. I really appreciate that, and I will speak to you soon. Okay.
All right, take care, everybody. Be well.
Take care. I really enjoyed that tonight, I have to say, peeps. I'm sorry about the sound at the start, but we did manage to fix it in the end. What I'm going to do is I will edit this tomorrow, and I think what I'll do is, the reason I asked that Doctor Who question again was just so that I can edit the first bit out, and then I'll put it back in again afterwards. So we've got a full stream which has got better sound and stuff like that. But what did you think of that for a first time? I was quite impressed with that. I'm happy with that. I'm sorry I couldn't get to many of your questions, but I was trying to juggle the sound, and I was glancing over to see the questions, but Phil saw some of your questions as well. I think the only ones we got to ask really was the American football ones, but Phil's an absolutely great guy, and I've learned a lot from watching some of the builds that he does on his channel. So by all means, definitely go over to the Sprueverse channel and you'll be able to see that for yourself. But I hope you enjoyed that stream tonight. I said we're going to do more in the future. I said we're going to do a collaboration with Kevin. I don't know if you're in here on the Nexus when the Enterprise comes, because he's a big Star Trek fan. And when we get the Enterprise, I think there's going to be a lot to discuss on that one as well. But thank you so much, everybody, for joining me tonight. As I said, there will be a video on demand for that. Tomorrow evening, we should have Pack 5 of the Agora models Shelby Cobra. So until then, until next time, take care. See you later.